Well, welcome back everybody to the Haas playthrough in Motorsport Manager then. And it was an interesting race last time, to say the least. So we decided to try a new strategy that some people have been suggesting for a while, of giving all of the best parts to one driver. And that driver for this race, the lucky man that he was Kevin Magnussen. And he did terribly. He came 15th. Leclerc came home nicely in the points, P7. And some much needed points after a tough couple of races, really. It also saw the continued resurgence of Ferrari, as we expected to see. Has now knocked us off our second place perch and got in second place then. Red Bull, I would still expect to recover and be up there with us. It's sort of Williams, Force India that we're fighting, really. I think we're clear of Renault, McLaren and co. So I think 6th, which is our target, is guaranteed. Almost. But if we can beat Williams and Force India and take that coveted 4th best of the rest spot, then we would have had an incredible season. But we will be fair this time round. We are going to give Leclerc the best car, and in the interest of science, I guess, we're going to see if that means that Kevin Magnussen can do really well. I don't know. The only thing that I thought, which is very unlikely, but I wonder if because Leclerc was so peeved off that we'd given Magnussen all these really good parts, that he decided to try and prove us wrong by having an incredible weekend. I don't think that's how it works, but it's possible, I guess. Right, so we've got a new front wing just finished. So that makes 2 new front wings now, so we shall move on to another part. We're trying to bring up the base of the car. And we're going to go for some new brakes, I think. Yeah, we're easily still banking that money. So, we could improve. Actually, our tyre wear is really good this season. So we'll go for deceleration. And get that built straight away. Let's roll it on a couple of days. And see if we can get those 2 front wings ready. Our reliability is still a little bit lower than we'd like, but it's getting there. Strongly enough that I think we can probably safely, I think we'll probably go to 15.5 and just improve the reliability of that front wing. Actually, we can probably unswitch that and drop it back to maybe sort of 13.7 and just try and get the performance up of a few parts as well while we're at it. We're going for performance and reliability. We're well past that point where reliability is going to get us points like it did early in the season. So I think we can concentrate on both, and if we can get that front wing ready, and of course that new front wing will be going to Charles Leclerc in the interest of fairness. Just make sure, I've just thought we're improving the brakes performance. We shouldn't really be doing that because we've got some new brakes on the way. So we'll switch that over to the front wing as well. And let's just keep an eye on the reliability of that front wing. Because when it's up to the point that it's acceptable, we may as well concentrate on a few different things. 69, so a few more races yet. Tyre supplies change. We'll deal with that when it comes to it. And if any of you haven't watched yet, go and watch the single-seater playthrough. Because, well, it might be coming to an end pretty soon, as you'll find out in that episode. And this may be the sole Let's Play style Motorsport Manager until I inevitably start another one, if that one does end. But there was a good suggestion from Fox that we should maybe do that one live. I've got to say, I don't disagree with that. I think it might be quite cool to see it. If it is going to be the last one, for you guys to try and talk me through it. And see if we can, with our collective knowledge, get that 5th place, which is going to be luck at the end of the day, as well as getting the right strategy and stuff. But so not benefit cars that are easy on its tyres. So the new tyres would be performance-based tyres, allowing slightly more speed on track. These tyres aren't quite as durable. I would have said that would have benefited us, because if they're less durable, then it's the cars that look after their tyres are even more important. We are up to 3 in abstaining though. I want to keep saving this because this is a series that we're not. I hope we'll never ever get demoted, and we should be in this championship. Any rule changes will be very important for us. So I really want to save up to the point where we absolutely almost 100% can't fail a vote, and then we'll try and put one through that will benefit us. I think that's the best thing to do, because you always get offered a vote each season for $1 million. So I think we will try and save those up, and maybe some point next season implement something that we feel is going to be good for our style, good for our car, and good for the championship in the long run. One thing I have experimented with in the... Okay, we're ready to go, by the way, so we'll use Citrix. And while we're just sorting out these tyres, I'll talk about that. In my sort of little playthrough, I'm doing this mod on my own. I did realise... I did change the points rule, sorry, to everybody scoring points. To quite unusual effects. It really does make the championship very interesting, I've got to say. The first season, it benefited me massively. And then the second season, it's not benefited me at all. So it can work either way, really. But it really does make this sort of real... how annoyed is Magnussen? It's not that bad, to be fair. He's not too bothered. He probably remembers that we gave him a terrible car, great car last time, and he didn't really perform. But it does make some really interesting racing. It makes every single place really worth fighting for. So that'd be... I feel that would be quite a cool thing to implement, but I also feel it's something that could really affect us badly. So we'll have to have a think about that once we've saved up the points. But anyway, we are ready to go then. Looking like a very wet race coming up, which should be interesting. But as always, I will get practice underway and be back with you guys for qualifying. Right, into qualifying we go then. Pretty good practice session, a bit tricky because there was quite a bit of rain about. So we got some good practicing on the intermediate tyres. Managed to max out race trim and a little bit of qualifying. But mostly did work on the super soft tyres in terms of dry tyres. So no big boosts for qualifying. But it's going to be really interesting here to see who comes out on top between Leclerc and Magnussen. Because Leclerc, I think I'm right in saying, I can't quite remember, I think he outqualified Magnussen last time out. Even with the better car for Magnussen. So it'll be interesting to see if that gap is widened this time, with Leclerc having the better car. And I've got to say, there are a few people, there's one person that said something spelt, something equals fired for Magnussen. Sorry, I can't remember his exact quote. It's starting to look like he's going to be the one we maybe replace, but there's plenty of time to go this season and plenty of time for Magnussen to turn things around. So, you know, both drivers can equally, to be fair, they've obviously heard someone because they're 9,000ths of a second between them. And considering Magnussen has a considerably worse car than Leclerc, that's an incredibly impressive performance from K-Mag. And, you know, it depends what we've got to prioritise. We've really got to prioritise the HQ and the car. And then once we've got the car in a place that it can potentially challenge for podiums and race victories on a regular basis, then we can maybe look at bringing in a star driver. But I am fairly happy with these two, and it's difficult to say until you bring in a real star driver how much better they might do with the car, because obviously we all know Formula 1 is a, you know, it's a car based formula mostly. There's only so much difference the driver can make. And I'm pretty sure if you put an Alonso or a Hamilton in a Sauber, they would not necessarily be scoring points regularly. And definitely wouldn't be challenging up towards the top end of the top 10. And that's what it's really shown with Alonso the last couple of years with McLaren, is how much that car is a factor. And there's only so much a driver can do, especially in the current formula. So, you know, I am still open to the idea of keeping them both on, but I think it has got to the point now in this championship where we maybe need to looking at bringing someone in the 4 to 5 star range, a real star driver, to see if they can move us forward on the grid. But we will wait to make that decision at the end of the season, I'm sure. So it'll be interesting to see what they do in the second laps here, as they both just started it now. And I'd like to see us a little bit closer to the top 10 if we can. And I'd like to see Leclerc beating Magnussen purely for the fact that our upgrades are worth nothing if it doesn't mean that they're the quicker driver in the quicker car can go quicker. Leclerc goes P10 then. 1.6 seconds off, but Magnussen again. That's a cracking effort there to put him up into P12. And only 0.08 of a second exactly between the two drivers then. So that's impressive from Kevin Magnussen. Or Leclerc's had a shocker. We don't really know. But it's the race that matters. And I can't... Again, I have such a bad memory of this playthrough, especially considering the gaps between the episodes are a little bit longer at the moment. But I can't remember if we put both drivers on the same strategy last time. But I think for the interest of fairness, we'll try and keep them on the same strategy this time if we can. We are expecting some rain though, so that will probably force the hand anyway. Let's go for race trim and push the limit, considering super softs are only going to be useful for a certain amount of time. So we've got some rain coming in around about lap 12 to 15, I would say. It will be ready for wet tyres. So we want to try and get our guys to stay out as long as that. This is quite a rare situation where we can actually see where the rain is going to come. So let's see what the tyres say they're going to do then. So I think if we're going to be safe, I would put the soft tyres on, and that's what I think we're going to do. And I think we're going to go back to putting both cars on full fuel, just so that they've got that fuel to push. If they need to, and get ourselves past some cars at certain times. So we will start with full fuel and use push when we need to. We might end up with a little bit too much fuel, but I'm fairly confident in the engine and gearbox that we can push for most of the race. We'll probably need 5 or 10 laps here or there where we're not, and that should probably work out okay with the fuel. But here we go then. We are underway, and it's a good start from Magnussen. His progress is actually hindered by his teammate there, but he's managed to get past into turn 1. Magnussen's up to 9th, Leclerc 10th. And we are the only two cars on soft tyres, which is what I want to see. Because I think we will be the only two that maybe make it to the rain, and that would be absolutely perfect if that's what happens. Temperatures at the moment are very cool as well, so we're probably going to have to keep pushing fairly hard if we want to keep these tyres in shape as we come to the end of the first lap then. And Magnussen is already up to P7. Cracking start from K-Mag. And we have echoes of the previous race here already. That the guy without the car upgrades is doing the business. And that's really weird, isn't it? We'll see how it finishes at the end of the race, but I am wondering if it just gives those drivers a little bit of a boost. The fact that they're pissed off that they don't have the best car, you know, sort of a Mark Webber at Silverstone situation for a not bad for a number 2 driver. They want to go out there and, you know, the press know that they have a better car. We've given their teammate preferential treatment, and they've been asked about it all weekend, and they really want to prove themselves. Maybe that is what's happening here. It's difficult to tell, to be fair. But at the moment, it's a fairly good start then. And considering we're on the soft tyres, we're holding pace pretty well. There is a bit of a gap developing between Ricciardo and Magnussen, but that's to be expected. If Magnussen can hold this group up, then we are bang on target for some points here. And just as we say that, through goes Lance Stroll on Magnussen then, and we're running 9th and 10th once again. But we just need to make it to that rain. That rain might come a little earlier, to be fair. It might be around about lap 10 or 11. But by the time it's really ready for intermediates, surely the aero will probably put intermediates on a little early if they have to stop on the ultras. But we'll wait and see. Maybe we'll luck out. And maybe all those guys on the ultra softs are going to have to make an extra stop. And considering, well, there's 14 seconds between ourselves and Hamilton. But we're sort of concentrating on the upper half of the top 10, sort of Ricciardo downwards, and we're only 4 seconds off Ricciardo, and we're ahead on track of Kielwitz backwards. And if we can stay ahead of them until the rain, and they have to pit before us, then we are really in the money this afternoon. But the two that should be okay, Verstappen and Stroll just ahead of us. So it's going to be a little bit of a fly in the ointment. But they're a little bit up the road, so it shouldn't matter too much. Kiewitz in the Renault has got in between us. But as long as it doesn't get past Magnussen, we should be okay here. Right, I'm a little bit... Well, I'm going to stay pushing for this early stint because we just need to get to that rain, and we're almost halfway to that rain, and our tyres at 60%, so it could be, you know, it could be about lap 12-13, which would be perfect for us. I was going to say we should use up a bit of the tyres, but there's no real need to. Leclerc's actually got back past Kiewitz because he's destroyed those ultra softs, and the guys are coming in now then. So we've definitely gained an extra stop on quite a lot of the field. And in an ideal situation here, the guys on the super softs will pit as well, and we'll be the only two left out on the soft tyres. And that will be a strategy masterclass right there. I'm going to use the boost down the straight here because we want to try and get some time back, because these guys that are pitting are going to make time back up on us until the rain comes. So we want to try and stay as ahead as we can. So the first guy that's pitted that's relevant, I would say, is Ricciardo, and we're around about 8 to 10 seconds ahead, which that Red Bull is definitely capable of charging. Oh, Vettel's put intermediates on already. I guess he didn't have a choice, but it's far too early for the Ferrari. And he's still trying to pass us somehow, and goes clean around the outside of us on the intermediate tyres on a bone dry track. That's not right, is it? Why has that happened? Yeah, go on, K-Mag. Put him back in his place. He should be falling off the road right now. I think back to Kimi Räikkönen. I think it was Malaysia a few years ago where Ferrari left him out. I think it was 2009. They put him on intermediate so early that by the time the rain came, they just burnt up completely. What's also good news, by the way, everybody has stopped. And apart from Hamilton, who's still on the intermediates. Why are these guys on the inters? It's only us two that are going to do an adverse strategy, so they could have taken an easy stop and put on another set of soft tyres. As it is, all these guys that have put inters on have really not helped themselves at all here. But the rain is now out then, and I think we're going to have to come in on this lap. We are going to have to stagger our drivers, unfortunately. And Magnussen is going to get first call then. And we shall put the intermediate tyres on. Car looking okay. So we shall bring Magnussen in this time around. We need to start saving some fuel then. So we'll probably go to medium fuel mode. And Charles Leclerc, we will bring in the lap after this to put on the intermediates. Should be about the perfect time, to be fair. Because it's still probably dry tyre weathers. It's a little bit early for K-Mag. But we need to stagger them, so we'll get him in. And Leclerc will use that boost just to make up a little bit of time. Pit stop was pretty good for Magnussen then, and we'll use that boost down the straight. He's come back out in 9th place then, which again I find staggering that these guys didn't lose a huge amount of time on the intermediates. I can't stress this enough, a completely bone dry track they were on intermediates. In a Formula 1 car, that is hell. You would never in a million years want to do that, really. Especially on these Pirellis. And our two drivers are close this afternoon. Blimey. Right, let's go back down to medium fuel for Leclerc then. And we'll let these two battle it out once again. And they come back out in 7th and 8th then. We've got Ricciardo and Auer in pretty close proximity. And then a nice gap to Perez. And then another big gap to Gasly backwards. Trying to see who have really gained here. It's Stroll and Verstappen who pitted a little bit later on those super softs that have gained a bit here. But they are going to suffer, the AI that pitted. They are going to pay for this because they have got... One thing, their tyres have really worn down, but I don't think they're going to last till the end of the rain. So I think Hamilton, Vettel, maybe Bottas. Stroll should be okay. Verstappen, Räikkönen and Perez are probably going to have to pit again before the rain stops. Our big danger now is Ricciardo and Auer, who are on very fresh tyres and with quicker cars. So we need Leclerc to do Magnussen a solid here and try and hold up this group, although he's already let him past. I should have used the boost to defend there really, but used it a little bit too late. He's just about got past and he's held up Ricciardo, who was using the boost as well, but Daniel Ricciardo slips up the inside easily. And now we will have to be watchful with Magnussen. So Magnussen keep them behind, we can keep them close. And it's going to be a short sprint to the finish on a set of Ultra Softs. And anything can happen there. As long as we get this this fuel delta back into the positive, we should be okay. We need to keep an eye on these temperatures. They're getting a little bit cool at the moment. And we want to make sure we do last till the end of the race. To the end of the wet weather, sorry. So we just need to look after them. I will bring K-Mag's tyres up a little bit in temperature though. And I can expect some of the other drivers that pitted so early to use his boost down the straight to try and keep Ricciardo at bay to come in pretty soon. To be fair, the front three will probably get away with it. Hamilton, Vettel and Bottas should come back out ahead of us, or be close enough that they'll just shoot straight back past us on fresh tyres. Verstappen, Raikkonen and Stroll though are almost certainly going to go behind us. Leclerc has now fallen past behind Auer as Verstappen does pit then, but we're still a nice little healthy gap ahead of Perez, and we got fresher tyres then. So let's push Leclerc as well and just bring those tyres back up to temperature. How many laps have we done? We've only done 6 laps on these intermediates. We're going to struggle here to get to the end of this stint on these tyres. But we'll go as far as we can. Magnussen's actually a little bit lower than Ricciardo and Auer. Leclerc's still ahead. Let's just go back to neutral and just drop the temperatures back down again. What's the gap between Auer and Perez? Leclerc and Perez, sorry. Still around about 4 seconds. So we're holding on to that 9th pretty solidly. Verstappen's still a little way behind as well. So there's definitely some decent points on offer here for both cars, which makes a change. And we just got to hope here that we can somehow make it to the end of this very wet period, but we're going to struggle, I think. Right, let's bring this back down to neutral. We need another sort of 5 or 6 laps. I don't think we're going to get them out of these tyres. They've only done 8. These intermediates are not very good. They only do 12 laps maximum, 12 to 14. We've just got to hold on here, I think. Just got to hold on, and we will put the super softs on when we can. Stroll making some repairs in the pits, which is good news. Raikkonen has stopped again, as has Hamilton and Vettel now. So let's maybe go to conserve now, because the temperatures are holding up pretty well. It is getting warmer, obviously, as that rain is about to stop. There's a higher weather front moving in from the east. Right, let's see if we can get Magnussen back past Ricciardo before that straight. There we go. Just keep him ahead, keep him held up. He's that's Bottas that's come out just ahead there. Let's see if we can get Leclerc back onto the back of this group. Down the straight. Right, we've got a couple more laps to go. We are going to have to pit Magnussen a little bit early for dry tyres, but it's going to be better than making another stop. And yet again, the AI have already thrown on the dry tyres then. What did we get out of the soft tyres? 12 laps, and we still had some extra life left in them. So super softs, I think, are going to be the option. Ultra softs are going to be a little bit too short, I think, somehow. And we've got plenty of fuel left as well. So I think Leclerc we can stop at a much more optimal time. Let's see if we can get him back past. We can't. Right, we're going to have to bring Magnussen this time around. We'll put the super softs on. The car is looking good, so I feel we can push pretty strongly to the finish. The temperatures are still pretty low, so I'm hoping we can maybe push on those super softs without overheating them. We'll have to wait and see. Leclerc can probably... Actually, I want to keep that cliff on the intermediate seems to be a little bit higher than normal. Everybody else is in then, and Leclerc will do one more lap before he puts his set of super softs on then. So let's maybe use some fuel and use a bit of boost from Leclerc just to make sure his in-lap is as good as possible. Magnussen is back out in P9. But crucially, he's ahead of Perez and Hulkenberg and co by quite a distance. So we're back out comfortably, and we're potentially in the fight with Auer and Ricciardo. But I think our real fight is going to be holding on against the likes of Verstappen and Raikkonen that will be coming back through on much softer tyres. And Leclerc is going to come out just behind Kevin Magnussen then. We'll take that. We'll definitely take that. Right, let's go to neutral and push for both our drivers on this final stint. Let's let the boost seep back into the car. Let's get as much charge as we can, because we might have to defend pretty aggressively late on here. And amazingly, Raikkonen and Verstappen are still out there on intermediates, as is Bottas. They're coming in now. I think if Bottas is anything to go by, they'll probably throw on the ultra softs. No, they're going to put the super softs on. Leclerc, oh, doesn't quite. He just about gets out ahead of Verstappen. Let's defend this. Why not? This is for position now, and let's do a Fernando Alonso to Verstappen. Come on, Leclerc. Let's keep him behind. This is where the two Haases should have been in Australia. I'm very sorry for any American fans and for Formula 1 in general to see such a fairy tale weekend put so cruelly to its end. But I said we were going to save the boost, but we're not with Leclerc. Leclerc is going to be a buffer here. I didn't expect to be saying that this episode, but he's going to be a cork in a bottle, and the longer he can hold these guys behind, the better. And oh, go on, Charles. No, he lets them both pass in a single corner. Raikkonen and Verstappen are having a ding-dong battle between themselves. Look at Leclerc, though. Goes back up the inside of Max Verstappen, of all people. Don't tell me he's giving him a little bit of helping hand down the straight. I thought he was going to get past Raikkonen there for a minute. That would have been outstanding driving. Right, 6 laps to go. Tyres still in good shape. They are overheating a little bit. With Leclerc, I'm going to keep on neutral. I think Magnussen, because he pitted a little bit earlier, we're going to conserve. Get those temperatures back under control. What is Leclerc doing? Good lad. Go on, man. He had a go into... Right, he's done it. A little bit of boost extra, and he's back past the Ferrari. And there goes Raikkonen with the boost. He's used it at a horrible time, though. Leclerc, just stay in with it. Outbrake him into the chicane. He does. He's an aging man, Raikkonen. You can frighten him off, apparently, now. You wouldn't have dreamed of doing back in his heyday. And once again, Raikkonen, all of this is playing right into Magnussen's hands. He's able to get his tyre temperatures back under control. And he's got a massive amount of boost to use to defend once they do get there. But I think it might be worth conserving with Leclerc now. Just bringing those temperatures back under control with him as well. Let's go to back up just for half a lap. To try and get them really under control quickly. But Raikkonen has been released because of that. But Leclerc has done his job. Perez is continuing his march as these guys are fighting. He is getting ever closer. So we're going to have to try and multi-manage these guys as best we can. Because we want to try and ensure that Leclerc stays ahead of Verstappen and Perez. As well as Magnussen holding on to 6th place here. So let's go back to neutral. We've still got fuel, plenty of fuel for both cars. And that 100% is now ready to use, and we will use that all the way down the back straight. Let's look at the gap. 1.7 seconds. Leclerc is going head to head with Verstappen, so we'll use his boost as well to try and defend that. But that's going to buy Magnussen a lot of time, I would have thought. And we're actually on to the final lap, so let's... Magnussen's safe. Magnussen is absolutely safe, so let's push with Leclerc and make sure he stays ahead of Verstappen on this final lap then. We've got to be wary that that Red Bull has got a little bit of extra pace or charge or something up his sleeve. I think we could have caught our here. I think we've gone a bit late with Magnussen. I didn't realise we were on the final lap, to be fair. And let's just see Magnussen cutting into that time now. Yeah, I think we definitely could have got 5th there with Magnussen, but we'll take 6th and we'll take 8th. And that was a great result. The boys done good. And yet again, the car that has the better parts finished behind the other one. Why do we even bother building parts? It's got shit all to do with it. No, it was a good race, that one. I think we picked the strategy well. Whenever there's rain, especially rain that we can see on the radar, it's so much easier to plan for the race and outwit the AI. The AI is unrealistic, before you ask. It's everyone always asks that after a strange AI performance. I don't think the AI did anything too weird there. We just picked the optimal times for the cars. And of course, we bought ourselves an extra pit stop over most of the grid. We had Sergio Perez was the only other 2-stopper there in 10th. Showing the AI can get it right occasionally then. But in general, I'm really happy with that. That's a great race for our 2 drivers. And I think Red Bull outscored us slightly there, but not by too much. Good points for Williams, but it's only 1 car in the points. We actually scored the same amount of points as them. And Red Bull took home 12 points. We took home 12 points. So we scored exactly the same as Red Bull and Williams. And Force India didn't score then. So that's going to be a good for us in the standings. We should stay second. Lucas Auer, I think this is his debut season in Formula 1, is 4th. I think this is the guy that someone was telling me is Gerhard Berger's cousin or something. Nephew, sorry. Not cousin. His cousin would be pretty old at this point. No, it's his nephew, sorry. And he is Austrian, so that backs it up. And he's having a cracking first season in Formula 1. Perez, ever the Mr. Consistency, up there in 5th then. And then our 2 boys, Leclerc and Magnussen. And Magnussen closes the gap between the teammates to just 8 points now then. And Kimi Raikkonen is still behind us, as is Ricciardo and Verstappen. I didn't think I'd be saying that. Fernando Alonso has scored every single one of McLaren's points. 12 to Stoffel Van Dorn's 0. Hulkenberg only 6 points. It's not been a great season for Renault so far. And Toro Rosso have 6 points. Courtesy of Pierre Gasly. Russian time with a single point then. And in the championship then, Hamilton is just out ahead of Bottas. And Sebastian Vettel a long way behind in that Ferrari, recovering from a terrible start to the season. So I would expect it to be an easy Hamilton win this season. But there you go then. We're 10 points ahead of Williams still. We extend the gap to Force India. Now sitting at 28 points. And then Red Bull close the gap to Force India, but stay in equidistance apart from us. And I think there's a real good chance we could even fight for 3rd this season if we continue performing like that. But thoroughly enjoyed that race. Much better performance from our 2 drivers. We will go back to fairly equal cars next time, because it doesn't seem to make the blindest bit of difference. And it will be interesting to see who comes out on top next time. I don't know if you've just got a little OneDrive noise on OneDrive thing there, or a different screen all of a sudden. I was watching something. Anyway. Watching an old Arctic Monkeys set. There you go. Even if you didn't see it, I've just told you anyway. So, some great improvements from Leclerc there. A couple of 3%ers, 2%ers. Continues to improve at a nice rate. Magnussen improving a little bit slower, which suggests in a few seasons Leclerc will be the driver to keep, but a good boost to morale from Magnussen. And Ferrucci continues to slowly improve. We're just going to have to take a risk if we want him in a race seat, I think, at some point. You really can't get a reserve driver ready if they're a young gun. By keeping them as reserve, you've got to put them in a race seat, or take someone that's been able to improve in Formula 2 or a smaller Formula 1 team. But that's going to be it for today then. As always, keep your help and advice coming. I think I asked last time what you think we should concentrate on this season, the headquarters or the car. I didn't really get any replies on that. So I'll ask again. If not, we'll make a decision next time if we should continue developing the car or go for some headquarters buildings this season. But I would like to keep developing because I think we have a real chance of third place, and that extra prize money would be of huge benefit to us next season. And we'd probably get all the money that we spent on the car back, and we'd keep the improvements of the car. So we'll have to wait and see. But you guys let me know what you think. As always, if you did enjoy the video, don't hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, you can subscribe as well. And as always, everybody, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.